In this problem, you have to tell order of rotational symmetry. Here we have 3 figures. On the next slide, we have 2, and this is the last one. So for all of these figures, you have to tell order of rotational symmetry. In this first figure, let's color this one with this color and this one with red. Now, if we rotate it by 180 degree, then this moves to new position, and this is, so now here comes the red one and here comes the green one. Tell me, is this exactly the same to the initial one? No, because in this figure, these portion is actually towards the left, right, and in this one it's towards the left, right? Now if we again rotate it by 180 degree, so now tell me, 180 degree for the first time and then again 180 degree, so we have rotated by total 360 degrees, right? 180 degree and 180 degree. So now the position is like this, where again this one is the green color and this is a red color. Now tell me, when you have rotated by an angle of rotation 360 degrees, tell me, is this one exactly the same to this one? Yes, it's exactly the same to this one, because unlike this one here, this outer portion is facing towards the right, and same thing is here also. So these two figures are exactly the same. Therefore, at the angle of rotation of 360 degrees, it has a rotational symmetry. Therefore, order of rotational symmetry is 1 in this case. Now in this figure, if you color this one by green and this one by red, now if we rotate it by 180 degrees, then you get something like this. Where this is a green color and this one is a red color. Now tell me, are these two figures exactly the same or not? The answer is yes. Don't go on these colors. I have shaded these two outer portions just to show you, so that you can understand the rotation. That is, what is the new position of this figure. So when you rotate it by 180 degree, initially this upper portion, the upper outer portion was facing the right. In this figure also it is facing towards the right, and this lower portion was facing towards the left. In this figure also it is facing towards the left. Okay, so this one is again point of rotation. If from this point we again rotate by 180 degrees, so for the first time you rotated by the angle of rotation of 180 degrees, again by 180 degrees, therefore total the angle of rotation is now 360 degrees, because we always compare from the initial position. Now if you rotate it by 360 degrees, that is 180 degree from this position, your new figure is in this case, here comes a red and here comes a green. Color doesn't matter, it's just to show you so that you can understand the rotation. Now tell me, is this figure exactly the same to this one or not? Yes, it is exactly same to this one, because again this outer portion is facing towards the right and this lower outer portion is facing towards the left, exactly the same to this one. So we had a rotational symmetry at 180 degree and a rotational symmetry at 360 degree as well. So the order of rotational symmetry is 2. In this figure, if you color this with green and this one is red, now if you rotate this figure by 180 degrees, so by 180 degrees you get So this time here is the red one, here is the green one, and this is the point of rotation. Now tell me, is this figure exactly the same? Yes. This outer portion is facing towards, again, like towards the left only, and this one's towards the right. And this figure also is facing towards the left, and it's facing towards the right, and this one's towards the left. So exactly the same. So at 180 degree, you have order of symmetry. Then if you again rotate it by 180 degrees from this position, so if you rotate by 180 degrees from this position, so what is the total rotation from this initial position? It's of 360 degrees. 360 degrees. So at 360 degrees, you get something like this. And in this one, you have this green color. This one is red color. Now tell me, is this figure exactly the same to this one or not? Yes, it is exactly the same. So we had a rotational symmetry at 180 degree, we had rotational symmetry at 360 degrees. Therefore, we have the order of rotational symmetry for this figure is 2. In this figure, what you have to see is this is the point of rotation. Now, if let's color with all these outer portions with different colors. Okay, if I rotate it by 90 degrees, so for the first time when you rotate it by 90 degrees, you get something like this. This is going to be a rough diagram, so it's not exactly the same with this one, but just assume that it's same to this one. So when you rotate by 90 degrees, what happens is again but this time this green one will come here, this yellow will come here, this red one will move here, and this, I don't know what color it is this, so let this be blue only. So this comes here. Okay, now is this figure exactly the same to this one? Yes, it is exactly the same. Don't go on colors, just look at the shape. So at 90 degree, you have order of rotational, you have a rotational symmetry. Then again, you rotate it by 90 degree further. So when you rotate it by 90 degree again, so by 90 degrees, so again you get something like this. So this time what happens, this will move to this point, this green one will move to this point, this yellow will move to this, and red one will move to this point. Okay, now tell me that when you again move by 90 degree, what's the total rotation? It's of 180 degree, right? So this, when you move again by 90 degrees, so the total rotation is of 180 degrees. So if we have rotational symmetry at 90 degree, we also have rotational symmetry at 180 degrees as well, right? So at this position also. Now you again move it by 90 degrees. So when you again move it by 90 degrees, you get something like this. Now in this case, what happens? This comes here. This one is here. This moves here. And this moves here. Okay. So when you have again rotated by 90 degrees, can you see that this figure is exactly the same to the initial one? Yes. So what's the total rotation now? It's 180 degrees plus 90 degrees, that is 270 degrees from this initial position. Right? So at 270 degrees, we have again rotational symmetry. If you again rotate it by 90 degrees, so you get So from here you get this red one here, this green one here, and this yellow is here, and this is here. So now you can see this figure is exactly the same to this one, right? And in fact, now it has reached to its initial position. So the total rotation is of 360 degrees. So at 360 degrees, we have rotation symmetry. So at 90 degrees, at 180 degrees, at 270 degrees, and at 360 degrees, these are the angles of rotation at which you have rotational symmetry. So order is what? Order is 4 in this case. Now in this figure, it's exactly the same to this one. Can you see there's no difference other than the shape of this, outer portion. So it's going to be exactly the same to this one. I'm leaving it for you. Practice it. Let's discuss this one. In this figure, you can see this is a point of rotation. This is what? 80 degrees. Very nice. So can you see that this is a straight line? This is a straight line. So this one will also be 80 degrees. Or let's say, okay, it's again 80 degrees. Okay. Now, if this is 80 degrees, can you see that this one plus this one is a linear pair, right? This one plus this one is a linear pair. So if this is 80 degree, this will be 180 degrees minus 80 degrees, that is 100 degrees. 80 degrees, why? Because it's forming vertically opposite angles, straight line, two straight lines, then this angle is equal to this angle, right? Now if this is 80, then this whole is what? Linear pair, so this will be 100 degrees. Now again, if this is 100, this will also be 100, because again vertically opposite angles. Okay, now we can see that we have now 100 degrees and 80 degrees and 80 degrees and 100 degrees. What you have to know, imagine that the reason I have written this with a different color and this one is different color is like when you rotate it by 180 degrees, so something like this happens. So this 100 degree, when you rotate by 180 degrees, imagine when you rotate by 180 degrees, this 100 degree one will be here. This 80 degrees section, or the portion, whatever you want to call it, will move to this position, that is here, right? This 100 degree will be here, and this 80 degrees will come at this position. That is why I have chosen two different colors. This one was with white to show you that this portion, when you will move by 180 degrees, will come at this new position. Okay, so tell me, at 180 degrees, do we have rotational symmetry or not? Yes, we have rotational symmetry. This figure is exactly the same to this one, because initially we had 80 degrees here. Now also we have 80 degrees here. Initially we had 100 degrees here. Again we have 100 degrees here, and it's exactly the same to this portion also, that is 100 degrees, 100 degrees, and 80 degrees and 80 degrees. Okay, now if we again move it by 180 degrees, so tell me, what's the total rotation this time? It's 360 degrees, because we always take from the initial position, and what we'll see is something like this. This 100 degrees will move to its initial position, and this 80 degrees will again come here. This 80 degrees will come to its initial position from where it had started, and this one will be here, that is 100 degrees. So at 180 degrees we have rotational symmetry, and at 360 degrees we have rotational symmetry. In fact, you will see that each and every figure has one rotational symmetry fixed for one angle of rotation, that is 360 degrees. That is one complete rotation, and your figure will reach to its initial position, right? So in this case, we have the order of rotational symmetry for this figure is again 2.